Oh, it appears it's time for me to talk about Mass Effect for the third time this week. That's about right. That's about right, yeah. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to yet another Mass Effect video. Surprise, surprise, I know, but after yesterday's chonker of a video, 20 plus minutes, everything you need to know, that's linked in the description down below, so if you have yet to see it, please do go ahead and give it a look. A lot of information there, and I spent a lot of time on it, so please do gratify me with your own viewership and attention. I appreciate it. But more seriously, today we continue the pipeline of information. We get into our first look at official gameplay for Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It's Mass Effect 1, the one that's receiving the most upgrades. We're getting some looks at some gameplay here today. Furthermore, we have comments from the project director. On top of that, we have a composer returning. I mean, lots of good stuff to sink our teeth into today. So let's just go ahead, continue those food analogies, and get into the meat and potatoes, or the mass relays and Garrus Vicarians of today's video. Okay. For some reason, Siri was like tracking all of that. What the hell? All right, so I'm not going to string all of you along. You want to see the gameplay right away, and I'm going to put it right here in the front of the video. Mass Effect 1 in the Legendary Edition running right before your very eyes. Now, some of the upgrades are very apparent. I can tell right away by looking at the gun on Shepard's back. The textures have been upgraded. The game looks cleaner. The lighting has been upgraded. That's clear as day. Lots of good stuff here, but most importantly is the HUD. Now, here's a little screenshot of Mass Effect 1's HUD. You can see the health bars on the bottom left corner, kind of reminiscent in a way of Halo when you had those health meters on the vehicles and the gunner on the top left corner of the screen. That's gone now, and it's kind of exchanged for its own UI identity. You can see some elements of Andromeda here, most notably with the health bar and the energy bar hovering over the two portraits. That's something we've seen before, but in Mass Effect 3, it was a little more segmented, whereas in this one, it's more unified. I love the portraits beneath the health bar. That's always been one of my little favorite details there. Otherwise, not too many major changes across the board. We can see clearly that the mini-map still remains, and on the bottom left corner, what weapon you have equipped is there. It's just a little bit different from what we've seen in Mass Effect 1 originally. As for the camera positioning here with the weapon out, I have to say it is a little bit closer up to the shoulder than I would have liked, but hopefully when combat starts that can pull out a little bit, because well, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I gotta say that the camera's a big thing that I need to see has truly been remedied, because right now that's not convincing. That camera's like, hey, what's up? What's going on? I'm right here, man. It's like, give me some space, bro. Please. Thank you. Anyway, that's our first look at some Mass Effect Legendary Edition gameplay. Of course, as more gets unveiled, I'll be right on top of it. But for now, let's shift into what Mac Walters, who is project director for Mass Effect Legendary Edition, had to say. So what Mac was doing was pretty much when this game got announced, again, sort of, or a full reveal, he was taking questions on his Twitter account. So we're going through some of them that I thought were pretty important that either didn't get a lot of attention in yesterday's video or I never mentioned at all. So let's start off with controller support on PC. This is major for me. I'll explain why in a second, but let's read what Mac has to say, as I imagine it's pretty relevant to a lot of you out there as well. Mac says, okay, there is controller support in the PC version. So this is great news. In my particular case, it's because I've mentioned this in a video a couple months ago. Sometimes I get issues with my elbow when I overuse it from editing, typing, scripting, all that stuff. Just a lot of work here for this bad boy. Don't say it. I already know where you're going with it. Don't say it. Just spare me, please. But anyway, yeah, so for me, I like to avoid the keyboard and mouse as much as I can when I'm gaming, and I always remember with KOTOR 2 when they added controller support, I was like, yes, thank God. And I want KOTOR 1 to get that controller support at some point. Yes, I've turned this into a KOTOR discussion, but point being is, for me, controller support is extremely important. I imagine I'm not the only one out there. So good news for all of us, controller support on PC, but Mac has more for us, and I think one that's more relevant to all of us. When asked about the scope of the project and if small things like the music in the scene being possibly fixed, Max says, we did fix it along with many other legacy bugs. So yeah, BioWare has always had a smidge of jank. I'd say they're a little bit, in my opinion, I know some of their recent products haven't really shown it. I'm talking dating back, have always had a smidge of jank, a little bit of funny glitches, right? The rotating shepherd head gif, we see that everywhere. The funny little shepherd dance when he's in the bar, that type of stuff, right? There's a little bit of jank there, but it's charming. I always think a little bit of jank in RPGs is good. That's just my personal opinion here. But it's good to know that long-standing bugs are going to be fixed. Bethesda. I mean, do you remember when 76 dropped and there were bugs from Fallout 4 and Fallout 76? That's unbelievable to me to still this day. And I think 76 has gotten a lot better. It's still just... But anyway, I get tired of this type of bug pattern from games where they re-release it with the same bugs. So, I'm very happy to see here with Mass Effect they do plan on fixing a lot of long-standing bugs that were there in the game. So not only are you getting the best looking version of this game, but on top of all of that, it's going to have the best, I don't want to say performance, but best optimization. You know, less bugs. That's good stuff for all of us. Now this one I saw a lot in my comments, so I want to make sure I spotlight this right now. When asked about elevator conversations and if they are still in the game, because since the elevators now move so quickly and those conversations were added to keep you busy while you were waiting for the next level to load, Max said, "You bet, there's an optional skip button, but you can still chill with your squad in the elevator if you prefer conversations and news updates." So based off Max's wording here, it seems like maybe the conversation will end if you leave the elevator. And when I was talking about that in my video yesterday, I didn't even think of the conversations really, more so just the load times. And I was like, oh, this is great, but I didn't think of the news updates and things that occur. So this is a conundrum. I'm kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, like many of you are. The good news is we can still stand there and listen, but I don't know. I'd almost rather the door be closed because I'd have that internal pulling that you know what I'm talking about, right? Where you see the door open, you're like, I want to go, I want to leave, I want to continue my adventure. You know, time is a luxury here today, but at the same time, I want to listen to Garrus and Tali just talk, and that's it. I mean, come on. What's more valuable in life than that? The Mako is a vehicle in Mass Effect 1 for those who are unaware, and my god has it caused a lot of people headaches. So I talked a little bit about in my video yesterday on how they were improving the controls, but a lot of this video, if you couldn't tell, is the hows, right? We had a lot of bullet points, a lot of things that are going to be fixed in Mass Effect, a lot of things that are going to be changed, but how are they going to do it? What are they going to change? And of course, we won't have a true answer until we lay our hands on the controller and we feel all of that. But for now, we're going to have to take a little bit more of a detailed description. This comes from Game Informer, and they say, smoother camera operations when driving and sighting down the barrel for assault. Updated physics, which we did talk about in yesterday's video, to make the Mako feel more weighted and the player is in more control. And better aiming for the actual weaponry among the tweaks that are made. The studio also offered an alternative control scheme so that players can move even more seamlessly between camera-centric controls and Mako-centric controls. Yeah, so this is one of those news bits that you present in the video and then you think to yourself, do I have anything to say about this? No, it kind of speaks for itself. This is good news, and I think anything I add just further emphasizes that point. So I want to do us all a favor here and actually shut up for once, and let's keep moving on to more exciting information for Mass Effect Legendary Edition. For those of you out there who are a member of Game Pass or EA Play, we've got good news for you. There's going to be a 10% discount for pre-ordering Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Now, here's a tough decision for you to make. I am not one for pre-orders, but I understand the value of saving money, and I understand the value of I have this money right now and I want to put it in a certain place so you can budget other things in your life. I totally understand that and respect that. I am not one to pre-order, but this could be what I'd say is at least story quality and gameplay quality wise, a good choice of a pre-order. And I say that very lightly with EA and BioWare kind of being involved. But yeah, honestly, the quality of the product is there. It's just about, will this version be buggy, broken, all that stuff. That is always worrisome, and we never know until we truly have the game in our hands. But this isn't something that's in a timed window, so do remember that. You don't have to pre-order right now. This is something you can wait until there's hands-on impressions or there's more gameplay out there. You can really see it moving in motion. I want to further emphasize this more on my channel as we move forward with coverage of games. The reason for that is because of the response to Cyberpunk and how things really just unfolded and actually unraveled when it launched on consoles. So I want to make sure people know, hey, there's this good discount here. Pay attention to coverage, be on top of things, watch how it all progresses, and then if you want to pre-order, if you're in this package here, you can go ahead and take advantage of that. Sam Holink announced on his Twitter account that he has contributed to the music of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. It's a killer remix of an old, unused track. I'll just leave it at that. Massive thanks to BioWare and EA for inviting me back and taking me down memory lane. So for those who don't know, and I understand if you don't, because sometimes composers really just sit in the backdrop of a lot of franchises outside of major ones, but Sam has done all the composing for Mass Effect 1, 2, 3, came back for Legendary Edition and did an old remix. So I can't wait to see what this is, man, because you already can tell background of the last 3 videos. I like Mass Effect music. It's good stuff. It's quiet. It sits there. Game music has really shaped my overall music taste. I tend to listen to instrumentals all the time. I'm almost always not listening to vocals more often than not, unless it's Persona. Very, very particular exception there. But otherwise, it's tracks like these that just shape my music taste. So I'm excited to hear more about that. But just know that the composer who did all of the Mass Effect games that we know and love is back for more. Okay, so to wrap this video up, I wanted to return to the debate of Eden Prime. This was a discussion in the comments down below. I expressed that, hey, I'm not really a big fan of some of the changes here with the red sky being gone, although it is a little bit more lore friendly, but is it actually because of the cataclysmic event happening with the Reapers, and it's all set here on Eden Prime? One thing that a lot of people were pointing out, however, when it came to some of the graphical changes of Mass Effect Legendary Edition was the lens flare. I even said to myself, they went a little crazy with it, or so I thought. Then a lot of screenshots started to surface online showcasing that a lens flare has been pretty overused since Mass Effect 1. In all of these screenshots here, heavy use of the lens flare. It just may be a little bit harsher, and that may be thanks even more so down the line when we play the game to HDR, stuff along those lines that really brighten the brights and darken the dark. So it may get actually very intense when we have the game in our hands. But this was something I wanted to point out because as the conversation evolved, when I first complained about Eden Prime, I thought, hey, you know what? I think that it looks better when it's red, but that was just more so an artistic approach than a viewer brought to light the lore reasoning. Now we're throwing in some of the lens flare discussion. So are we all kind of just being picky right now and we're not self-aware? I'm going to call us out. I think we are. I think it's fair to discuss, but overall, I think it looks better. Still, food for thought, worth discussing, information that I felt you needed to have in today's video. But that wraps it up. A little bit quicker than last video, I would say. So I appreciate all of you who have been really sticking with me here. I know that we've just been really pounding away on the Mass Effect coverage, but it feels so good to be excited, man. I mean, I love what I do, clearly. I think it's pretty apparent. But I just got to say, you know, having these types of games coming out and being able to share that with all of you, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you so much. Not a day goes by that I don't feel like I am truly blessed and fully aware of how lucky I am to do what I do. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate all of you. And with that, it's time for me to wrap this up. So once again, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you're thinking of Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Other than that, follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Let's go ahead. Let's interact. And other than that, big thank you to all the patrons. Thank you all. I mean, my gosh, lots of thank yous going around. Lots of e-hugs going around. Thank you all for supporting this content. Stay sexy. Stay active. I love you all. Peace.